When you're ready to start using the online videos to conduct observations, all you have to do is go back to, the modules tab, scroll down to observations, and about midway down the page, you'll find the online videos and the login information. Here is the link to the repository of videos, and here is the login information. Please note you'll be using my login information. It's my email address, followed by TCH 210, TCH in capital letters. And that's what you'll use to log in. As I note below, please do not change the login or make any changes to this because this is allowing us all to access those. So if you change it, it will deny access then to everyone in the class, including me. So just leave it as is, please. So you will click on this link, and it brings you to the Atlas videos. These are just videos from teachers' classes when they are trying to become a nationally certified teacher. So they're just kind of little snippets from a lesson that they have done as part of that process. Most videos are around 12 to 18 minutes, but you can sort in a variety of ways. So let's say you come onto the site and you are really interested in watching a math lesson, okay? When you click on that, it's going to pull up all lessons connected to math. Maybe you are interested in watching a physical education one. This is especially helpful early in the semester because we've only towards the beginning really talked about physical development. So that might be an earlier one you want to do, or maybe you want to do something related to music. Now, as a reminder, you need to be choosing videos across different subject areas. So even though maybe you're going into music education, it's fine to watch some of these videos. Don't watch all of these videos. If you're going into physical education, it's fine to do some. Please do not do all. I want to give you a variety that helps in the process for your assignment and making connections to the course. You can also sort by grade level. I feel like this is probably the one people use the most because it helps to make sure that you are getting across the grade levels. So, it goes from pre-K to 12th grade. There's quite a few videos in all of those categories that will help you get the hours and the range that you will need. So once you sort and find a video that you would like, you just need to open it up, and I'm just going to pull up this first one here. And it tells you here, this is a literacy and English language arts kindergarten class, and here are some of the standards that they will be meeting as part of the lesson. Really all that you're interested in is that it's a English language arts lesson and it's a kindergarten, and that's what you will be recording on your log. So you open it up. You won't hear the classroom because in this screencast, it only captures my voice. It won't capture what's in the video. But as you can see here, this is going to be around 15 minutes as you watch it. So you just open it up, and we've already gone over the template that you have and the guiding questions. So you'll have those with you as you start to record. I find it helpful. Watch a little bit, pause it, and then write some stuff down. So let's start by just even thinking about physical development. So we start the video. As you can see, all the kids are sitting on the floor. The teacher's chair is somewhat by them. They're having a discussion. She happens to be asking about different types of clouds, asking them to tell about clouds. And the teacher's asking her to build on someone else's ideas. She kind of talks about clouds being like cotton candy or a horse's tail, and then arrives at, yeah, those are cirrus clouds. So there's a little bit of guidance from the teacher. But just physically look at what's going on in this classroom. And I'm just going to pause it right there. As you are watching, there are lots of things that we could write down. So let's go ahead and pull up the template. And let's just start filling some stuff in. So if I were watching this video, when I think about physical development, first of all, if you're watching, there was constant body movement, okay? And in any kindergarten class, you're going to see that. So I'm just going to start typing some things out. Constant body movement and fidgeting across all students. Okay, if I think about kind of their motor skills, able to hold up their arms as they were answering questions. So they are able to hold up their arms to answer questions. However, the movement wasn't very graceful, and they lacked, graceful,
'em. 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 'em.
over the movement. Arms swinging side to side. Okay, so those are kind of just to get you started thinking about the physical development. Okay, so let's go back to the video here. Now we're going to look at some thinking about the cognitive piece. And the cognitive piece is just thinking, problem solving, how the teacher is assisting them in being able to process information. So let's watch a little bit more. So now the teacher's saying, I want you to think about what we might see on the video and what we might hear. So what we might see and hear. And then she's saying that you can also work with your partner now, and I want you to tell them what we will see and what you will hear. Okay, and then they turn and they talk. So at this point, I'd probably stop the video and I'd think about, okay, what can I start adding when it comes to cognitive development? So you weren't able to hear the emphasis of this, but the teacher repeats the directions probably 3 times. And this is also very common in a kindergarten class, right? Because they're still developing those executive function and processing skills. So the teacher repeats the directions twice. Well, we'll just say 2 to 3 times, and says slowly, she says what we see and what we hear. And even with her voice and giving those directions, she kind of emphasizes that. And that's a form of, as you will continue on, it's called scaffolding. The teacher was scaffolding the process of talking with their peers and what to focus on. Okay, so again, as you're learning more in the course, you'll be able to fold in some of these key terms, but again, initially just write down what you see, right? And so we know that the teacher is kind of slowing down directions, she's emphasizing certain words. We also were able to see with the one child that the teacher called upon. So one child uses the vocabulary of clouds, but also uses common words in describing clouds, like cotton candy, and I think it says like something like a horse's tail. At the end uses the term cirrus cloud. So I love in this section, even if you can include as many quotes as you can or just highlight certain words, this is going to help when you start to, at the end, make connections. And so again, kind of as you're looking through anything that a child says, what the teacher says, anything that can capture them processing and thinking or organizing that information. Okay, so now we've got physical, cognitive, culturally responsive teaching. You can think about the teacher is sitting closely to the students, so even proximity can be helpful. She's finding ways that students can connect their ideas to things that they already know. So as we learn about culturally responsive teaching, you'll be able to fill in more for that. Now let's think about the social emotional development. Okay, so as we're watching more of this classroom, you can see that they have turned to their partners and it looks like they are actively listening and speaking, right? They are making eye contact. Their bodies are towards each other. And even, one student says to the other student, your turn, right? So you can see that they are taking turns. And so I'm going to pause it there. That's when you would be able to come over and start thinking about the social and emotional development. Okay, so an idea is like students turn and listen to their partners with eye contact. Okay, and they are working with their peers. Students show interest, which is an emotion. And some excitement. You can see that energy there. And again, with words like this, I need to know, how do you know? So like, okay, they're showing interest or they're showing excitement. How do you know? So you would follow up with some students are smiling or nodding their heads and leaning in. Okay, so that gives me evidence that, okay, yeah, that points to some interest or some excitement from students. Okay. Again, you can organize these really in any way if you want to bullet point them, or if you write more in even just paragraph form, that's totally fine. When you think about the classroom environment, things that you could write down for that are, you know, the students are sitting on the floor, they are paired up for discussion, the teacher's chair is next to the students. Some things might feel like, oh, does that even matter? Well, you don't know. When you, the more we learn in the course, the more you'll be able to make connections based off what you have written down. So I always say, nothing is too detailed, right? It is okay to just include as much as possible, because if you don't have it there, then you can't draw those connections. So even if it seems silly or irrelevant, a lot of times you will be able to find connections. Okay, so for all of your observations, you'll be doing, writing down what you see for physical development, cognitive development, culturally responsive teaching, social and emotional development in the classroom environment. You will also be giving that overview of the activity. So for this, you know, students are sitting on the floor, they're talking about different types of clouds and sharing with partners and whole group discussion, okay? Then you have written down stuff in every area. You then will choose 9 of your observations that you do a reflection for. You might need to go back to do this reflection later in the semester once we've learned more, or if you feel like you've seen enough of the course content to do that even earlier in the semester, that's totally fine. But you'll start with which theory or theories seem to guide this lesson. And on that guide, I do give you some tips for what to look for. But for this one, I would certainly say it's Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, and you'll be learning about how much he emphasized the social process of learning and scaffolding and the way that we meet students where they are and then help them move forward. And so I would name that theory, and then I'd provide a few sentences to let you know, okay, well, this is how I know. This is what I saw in the classroom. The next thing I'll do is list 3 connections to the course content. So even here, things that I've written down, you can look at motor skill development. Did what you see match what we learned in the textbook about, like, you know, around the ages of 5 and 6, what kids can do? Maybe that you will have something connected to the cognitive abilities that we see in early childhood and where children are at. It could also be more connections to Vygotsky's theory. And then maybe you have something connected to kind of the social skills that we see with kids, maybe even pro-social skills, you know, being able to ask another student for their ideas, or the way in which moral development, you know, that they are showing respect to their peers. So there's lots of different ways as you move forward in the course. You're then also going to compare this grade level to another grade level. What differences have you seen, or what you might anticipate? So kindergartners are really different than high school students. They're similar in some ways, but in many ways they're different. So if we were looking at a discussion about weather or clouds with a high school classroom, what would you anticipate for some of the differences, whether it be even just being able to process and follow directions? What kind of engagement would you see? Would motivation look different? So you can, in any of those areas, you can kind of compare what you would think at an older level. And even to give you a quick idea of that, if we come back to these videos, even if you go to, I think this is a high school, oh, that might not be, here's a high school one right after it of a high school math class. As you can see in this one, we have students who are sitting in their desks, the teacher's in the front, kind of showing something on the board. We see much lower energy levels, not as much interaction. It seems to be like the teacher is looking for precise answers, which would be very different from that first one. And so that can help you with those comparisons. And that's all you need to know for the observations.